There you go.
Got it. Everybody take their last swig. I just sprayed water all over myself. And if we want to admit all, I guess.
Yeah, I'll enable the waiting room.
Okay.
We're gonna go live. Let's go live. 3, 2, 1.
Okay. As you're all getting settled, please mute. And also please stop video. And we are at the 11 o'clock time, so we are going to go ahead and get started. Hello, my name is Troy Farmer, and I am the Small Business Development Center's SSBCI Program Manager. The SBDC is the designated provider for technical assistance for the SSBCI program. SSBCI stands for the State
Hello,
Small
Ms.
Business Credit
Farmer, you're
Initiative.
muted. I can't hear you.
Can everyone else hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah. And please note, we are recording, so if you have any comments, please put them in the chat. If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A. Thank you. So today's agenda, you will meet members of the Division of Small Business, which is the state overseeing and servicing the SSBCI program, which also includes information from our lenders, True Access Capital and Del One, who are supporting the SSBCI funding. And of course, you will also hear from Delaware's SBDC on how we are supporting clients who are seeking funding and access to capital through the areas of technical assistance and training. Today, attendees will learn about the program, who it's for, how it will support those seeking funding, what steps to take if you are seeking access to funding. And within this session, we will also discuss upcoming initiatives to support small businesses to ensure they are equipped and engaged in the process of seeking funding. Before closing out today, we will have a Q&A session. So again, please be sure to drop all of your questions into the Q&A. If they are dropped into the chat, unfortunately, we may not see them. And we want to make sure that we do see your questions. Now, I also want to put a disclaimer in that we may not be able to get to all of your questions. So not to worry, we have also provided contact information as well. I ask that you all again remain muted for the entire session and videos off so that you may engage in the presentation without distractions. Please, again, I'm going to reference this, put your questions in the Q&A section so that the moderator, Andrea Wojcik of the Division of Small Business, will be able to provide them to our esteemed presenters. Without further ado, I would like to bring on Mike Bowman, who is the State Director of the Small Business Development Center, and also the CEO of the Delaware Technology Park, for brief comments.
Thank you, Troy. Happy National Small Business Week, everyone. This is it. We're really thrilled, by the way, to have Troy Farmer join us at the SBDC as our program manager for SSBCI. It's a complicated program. She's up to it. We know that. Many of you are familiar with the SBDC training and counseling on mostly SBA programs like Community Navigators and during the pandemic with PPP and EIDL. Well, the SSBCI program comes from Treasury. It's intended to help what they call SETI businesses. Of course, everything's an acronym, right? Socially and economically disadvantaged individual business owners. That's who we're targeting. And SBDC is very excited to be chosen as the partner by the Division of Small Business to be the technical assistance supporter. This includes training of all kinds, particularly in business planning, financial planning, maybe even legal advice. We do one-on-one counseling, all intended to help you move forward and hopefully access either in credit or capital, something that you need. We are very fortunate, I think, to have two lenders with us today, Del One, True Access Capital. I think that's a very big plus at this stage of the program. And I'll just say, as Director of Division of Small Business Development, Small Business, really, Regina Mitchell has done really an awesome job in securing the SSBCI funds for Delaware. That is a complicated process from a different agency than we're used to working with. So with that, I'll pass it over to Regina, and this is our first on this subject, first joint briefing. Regina.
Thank you, Mike. And thanks to all of you for joining us here this morning. We're so excited to be partnering with SBDC on this program. Here at the division, we work closely with the SBDC on a wide variety of programs, and they truly are such a valuable asset to the state and to our small businesses here. So when the opportunity arose for us to identify an organization to use this funding to provide technical assistance for our SSBCI programs, it was a really obvious choice given SBDC's really successful track record. So we know they will do an excellent job getting our SSBCI funds out and into the hands of small businesses throughout the state where they belong. They do no good sitting here at the division. So we're really anxious to get this funding out and utilized by our small businesses that need it. So now I'm going to turn it over to our business finance director here at the division, Andrew Harton. Andrew oversees all of our grant and loan programs, so he's going to give an overview of how our SSBCI program works. Andrew?
Thank you, Regina. It's good to see a couple familiar names and some familiar faces on this informational webinar already. I know I've spoken with some of you. So I'm excited to dive into what is SSBCI, the State Small Business Credit Initiative. And just a reminder before we get started, any questions as I'm going through, please feel free to go ahead and put those in the Q&A, and we'll try to get to everything at the end of the session. So the SSBCI program is as Mike Bowman mentioned, it's a program that's administered by the U.S. Department of Treasury. And it's actually a program that goes back to 2010. So the SSBCI program started in 2010. It was reauthorized and expanded in 2021 as part of ARPA. And it turned into a $10 billion program. So if you're a small business on this call now and you're looking for support, there's $10 billion out there, right, in the US for you to get a hold of. So the U.S. Treasury allocated certain funding to each state, and states had an option of a collection of different programs that they could run and utilize SSBCI dollars in running. So Delaware was granted $60.9 million over 10 years, and there's 4 programs that we're launching to get this funding out the door. So the 2 we're going to be discussing today are both lending programs. So we have the Delaware Loan Participation Program and the Delaware Capital Access Program. Now, the way these programs function is a little bit different, but the goal of SSBCI is the same, and that's really to increase the investment and the capital that's available to small businesses, especially those who are having a little bit of trouble maybe accessing capital. You can go to the next slide, please. All right, so how can SSBCI funds help small businesses? So one of the first questions we always get is, what can I use SSBCI funding for? And Treasury really tried to provide a broad scope. So they say that SSBCI funds can be used for any business purpose. And that reflects some of the most common purposes, right? Equipment purchases, inventory, maybe the upgrades of a space that you're planning on leasing, or improvements to your eligible space of business. Even startup working capital, SSBCI funds can be used for that. So there's really a pretty broad scope of who is going to be able to access these funds. And again, the point here is to increase investment, increase access to capital for small businesses, and especially for those who are having trouble or who are on the fence in being able to access like traditional banking capital. So typical problems that we see are business owners that maybe don't have much collateral, or that have other kind of limiting credit factors that are preventing them from securing a traditional bank loan. And that's where SSBCI comes in to help our participating lenders that are on this call make loans that are maybe a little bit riskier than they would normally engage in. Okay, we can go to the next slide here. So even though Treasury, really tried to have this broad scope of all of the business, opportunities that are available and can utilize this funding, there are a couple things that are not allowed. So some of the most common ones are on this slide. So one is acquiring and holding passive investments in real estate. So if you were planning on acquiring a building to lease it to another tenant, this isn't really a program for you. If you're a day trader and you're interested in purchasing securities or something like that, then this is not a program for you. And then there's a couple other items here. So it can't be used to repay, owed income taxes. And another really common question I get is, can I use SSBCI funds to purchase, let's say, a business, right? An existing business. And the answer is generally no, or there are a couple potential exceptions to that. But you typically cannot use it to purchase an ownership interest in any business. And there's also some restrictions on using this in combination with SBA loans or other federally guaranteed loans. But as someone who's looking for access to capital, don't worry about getting into the weeds on those things. We've got lenders on this call. They're going to help you. They can help you navigate those types of situations. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so some businesses won't be eligible. This probably won't apply to someone on this call, but again, this is the state small business credit initiative, not the state big business credit initiative. So you need to have less than 500 employees in order to qualify for the capital access program, and less than 750 employees to qualify for the loan participation program. In terms of the type of business that you are, if you're an LLC, a partnership, even if you're a sole proprietorship or a nonprofit, you're eligible. You can apply. So there's no restriction there. There's some restrictions on speculative activities, gambling enterprises. So if that applies to you, then that's something that we would need to talk about. You can't be engaged in pyramid sales. And this is a common one, common question here. You cannot make, sell, or service or distribute products that are in connection with a federally prohibited activity. And the activity that we're usually talking about here is like a marijuana business, right? So even if it's legal maybe at the state level, if it's not legal at the federal level, then you wouldn't be able to use SSBCI money for those types of businesses. Okay, we'll continue here. So let's talk about one of the programs. So we have the Delaware Loan Participation Program and the Delaware Capital Access Program. So the Delaware Loan Participation Program, it helps small businesses obtain medium to long-term financing. So typically in the 5-year term loan mark, maybe 5 to 10 years to help your business grow and expand. So this is especially useful when maybe you have a lender that you're currently working with and you have a project that's, let's say it's a $100,000 project or a $200,000 project, and you've spoken to your lender and they're maybe not willing to finance the entire project, right? Maybe they're willing to finance half of that project. This is a great opportunity for the Division of Small Business, us, to participate in that loan using SSBCI dollars. And the way this basically works on the back end is the borrower would deal exclusively with the lender, right? And the lender would communicate with us at the Division of Small Business about our willingness to purchase a portion of a loan. So in this case, let's say a lender is asking us to purchase 50% of a $200,000 loan. We would potentially buy, using SSBCI dollars, $100,000 of that loan. Now, what that looks like to the borrower, most of that the borrower wouldn't even notice because they're dealing exclusively with the lender for that full $200,000. So it's convenient for the borrower and it's simple for the borrower. And again, typically this is a 5 to 10 year max term loan. And the reason for that is, we want to be able to get this money back in our hands and back out the door to kind of recycle these funds and support small businesses. So we don't want to tie up the funding too long with any one project. All right, so a couple key program characteristics here. So our portion of the loan for the loan participation program is lent at the prime interest rate, which is currently 8.5%. So it's the Wall Street Journal prime rate. It's fixed. And then the lender, if you're kind of maybe a riskier borrower, may have a little bit of a higher interest rate. So this will help bring that interest rate down. If you're looking for a loan participation that's greater than $500,000, there's a couple extra steps involved there. Again, that's something that we can walk through. That's not anything that you need to be super concerned about. And then the total loan request, the total loan amount can't exceed $5 million. So if you have a greater than $5 million project, then this loan participation program is not for you. So again, while the borrower may start by talking to one of our regional business managers, right, or start by potentially talking with the SBDC and getting some technical support there, ultimately the bank will be servicing this loan and issuing the loan. So it's really the connection is primarily through the lender. All right, so the Delaware Capital Access Program, this is another program we have to support small business lending. And this is typically for businesses with small kind of collateral or credit issues. So again, those borrowers that are on the fence of being able to qualify for a traditional bank loan. So Mike Bowman made a reference earlier to being a SETI-owned business, and that's a socially and economically disadvantaged individual. And there's quite a few categories that encompass what is that definition. But one thing I wanted to mention is that you don't have to be a SETI individual or socially economically disadvantaged individual in order to qualify for the SSBCI program. That is primarily the target audience for what we're trying to support, but you don't have to be a SETI individual in order to qualify for an SSBCI loan. The Delaware Capital Access Program is it's a risk pooling concept. So you would go to a lender, right, one of our participating lenders that I'm going to introduce here shortly, and if they felt that your loan would be a good candidate for this program, they would basically request an extra 2% deposit, 2% of the loan amount, cash deposit from you to be deposited into basically an insurance fund. And that would be collected with all the other borrowers that are in that program. And that insurance fund will kind of basically help the lender make deals knowing that they have this little insurance support in the background. But again, what it means practically to the borrower is an extra 2% deposit at the time of enrollment. And again, the loans here, we're talking term loans, 5 years to 10 years in length. All right, so where to start? So this call, it's being hosted by the Small Business Development Center, and these are our partners in getting this assistance out to small business owners. So in terms of where to start, we at the division have our own team of regional business managers, and I'm going to talk about them on the next slide. You can reach out to one of our regional business managers and they will point you in the right direction and they will get you on the right track. So in some cases, if your business is, let's say, 5 years old and you've already got some banking relationships, and you have everything you need in order that the other lenders are going to talk about on some of these previous slides, they may refer you to our selection of participating lenders. In other cases, if your business needs a little bit of help getting ready for a bank application, maybe you don't have all your materials together, maybe you need to work on a business plan, they might refer you to our partners at the Small Business Development Center. One thing I want to mention, though, about the Small Business Development Center is that those services, those support services, aren't limited just to those who are having trouble or who are not ready for bank financing. If you already have received financing in the past, and you feel that your business is ready to go directly to a bank, and maybe you want some other form of support, the SBDC is available for you for a wide variety, a wide breadth of support services. So don't shy away from talking to the SBDC just because you're already ready to talk to a bank. All right, so next slide. All right, so here are some of our regional business managers. Again, these are some great primary points of contact if you're interested in learning more about the program or just looking for someone to get you in the right direction. And they work by county. Just a reminder, this slide deck is going to be shared on the Division of Small Business website. It's also going to be on the Small Business Development Center website. So don't feel like you got to jot these down right now. This contact information will be available for you at the end of this presentation. Okay. All right, so talked a lot about talking with lenders and dealing with our participating lenders on these programs. So I'm happy to introduce them. We have 2 participating lenders right now that are participating in the SSBCI program. We have Del Federal Credit Union, and today we have Jory Moore, commercial loan officer from Del Federal Credit Union, to talk more about some of their underwriting standards and some of the application materials they may need in order to process your loan. And then we also have True Access Capital. We have Lorenzo Marino, which is he is the director of lending for True Access Capital. Great resource. They also offer support services, and both of these individuals are going to really be able to help you out in terms of knowing what you need to bring to the bank in order to get a deal done and get funding from this program. All right, and for those who need it, we also have a link here to our website containing more SSBCI material information, including links to the Treasury website and links to a lot of supporting documentation. But without further ado, I will turn it over to Jory Moore, commercial loan officer for Del Federal Credit Union.
Hi, thank you, Andrew. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Jory Moore. I am with Del Federal Credit Union, and we are a local credit union here in Delaware. We have branches all the way from Wilmington all the way down to Seaford. We'll also be opening a location in Lewis later on this year. So I just basically wanted to talk about some of the ways that Del can help you in partnering with this program with SSBCI. We've been Del been around since 1960, and we're really about people helping people. That's the whole credit union motto. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you and your business grow as you start to grow with your consumer base. So a couple things that we're going to need to get you started as far as our loans are concerned. We do have an online application, which you can see on this slide deck right here. You can go right to our online application, put in all your information and upload documents. Basic documents include 2 years tax returns, both personal and business. We'll need bank statements for some of our real estate transactions, and we also may need a business plan or something like that. We do require that all our businesses open accounts with us. You have to open at least a shares with us, and we require at least a $5 deposit into that shares. Depending on where your business is located, you also may need to open a personal account along with the business account. We offer a wide variety of business deposit products, which we also will be expanding this year as well. Those include checking, savings, certificates, money markets, and those can also go under your business account. Some of our loans do require that your operating accounts are with Del as well, which we can open for you and have business debit cards. Not only do we just do your basic unsecured commercial loans, we also do real estate, equipment loans. We do operating lines of credit. We do business credit cards. So those are some of the things that Del One offers. Our rates are based on products, credit scores, and other factors with your business on determining your rates. So just like Andrew had mentioned, our rates may be a little bit higher than what you'll be getting on the SSBCI side, but that is to just ensure the risk is lessened on our side. So basically we use programs like the SSBCI program to help expand our reach. We don't want to turn anyone away. We don't want to say no. So what we do is partner with places like SSBCI to kind of help us with that yes. So if we can't do the entire loan, let's say you need an equipment loan, you want to buy something for your business. Maybe you're with a restaurant and you need a new refrigerator, maybe a stove, something like that, and you need about $80,000 worth of equipment. So we'll partner with SSBCI and we may do 40 or 50 and then partner with them for the rest of the loan. These are serviced by us, and the great thing about Del One is you can call us Monday through Saturday, and between the hours of 9 and 5, and speak to a live person. You can also call our commercial department directly, and there's a phone number there as well as our email address, and you can always contact us directly for any questions, especially after your loan closes. After your loan closes, we don't just leave you there and have you sitting. We do try to follow up with you throughout the year, and we also do annual reviews of all our loans. So we're just an overall organization that not only helps our members on the individual side, but we are trying to grow our businesses and help our small businesses in this area grow and expand their reach. So again, if you have any questions, our number is right here on the screen. It's that 302-608 number. You can email us at businessloans@del-1.org. You can also apply right online. And if you click that link, it'll take you right to our online portal. What normally happens is once you apply, within 24 hours, you'll actually hear from me. Within 24 hours, I'll reach out to you. We'll discuss what you're trying to do. I'll get a little bit more information depending on what you've put in the application, and then we'll go from there. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Lorenzo at True Access Capital for more information on their products and services.
Thank you, Yori, and good morning, everyone. So my name is Lorenzo Marino, the Director of Lending at True Access Capital. True Access Capital is what's known as a CDFI, a Community Development Financial Institution. We are a nonprofit organization, and we specialize in providing financing and technical assistance and counseling to businesses that may or may not qualify for traditional financing. We're located in Wilmington, Delaware, right on 10th Street, in the community service building, and we service the entire state of Delaware as well as southeastern Pennsylvania. As you can see on the screen, our mission is to build a thriving community by empowering a diverse base of entrepreneurs and businesses through access to capital, education, advocacy, and opportunity. So I look at us as a one-stop shop in a sense of, if you're not quite ready for the financing, you might be able to work with a Women's Business Center in preparation for the projections, for the business plan, and that kind of work, and then move back into the financing side. A lot of our technical assistance as well is actually for free, backed by grant dollars. And I usually say when I say free, it doesn't mean it's free. It just means we're covering it with grant dollars. But it is services that are available there for everyone, borrowers and non-borrowers. We do service businesses that are startup phase, which is, it can be from literally just day one, you're thinking of creating a new business. And in that case, that might mean that we're referring you to the Women's Business Center or partners like SBDC to be able to kind of lay out a plan, a business plan, projections, and start preparing for submitting an application. We also do service existing businesses that have been in operations for 2 years or more. So a lot of times we might get referrals from a bank that might tell us, we're not able to service this because it's a startup, because it's a risky industry. And those are exactly the reasons why someone like True Access Capital, I think, exists, right? So we're able to be a little bit more flexible than a traditional bank, given the way that we're regulated. So a CDFI is certified by the U.S. Treasury Department. And the whole intent and mission there is to be able to serve the underserved markets, the underserved population, helping out the businesses that, again, won't qualify for traditional lending. Some examples like that on the screen are, again, startup businesses, risky industries, collateral shortfall, low credit scores, equity or down payment shortfall. Those are just some examples of businesses that we might be able to help. Not every loan does get approved, of course, but we might be able to review and assist you in any way that we can. To give you an example of how one of those might play out, a bank might say, if the credit score falls below 680, 650, whatever that might be, and they consider it to be low and it's an automatic decline. What happens there is if they do refer it to True Access Capital, True Access Capital will review your credit history, and we'll look for a kind of backstory and understanding of kind of what happened, understanding that, just life sometimes happens, a medical emergency, 2 years ago, anything like that. We'll take that explanation. And if the loan is still approved, it's typically with conditions such as being able to either satisfy that account or enter it into a payment plan, even if it's just $20 a month. The whole intent is seeing that there is something being done with that account prior to the loan closing. So that's just an example. And with collateral shortfall, that's the whole intent here with the SSBCI programs. Sometimes these businesses just maybe don't have enough collateral. So what we'll look for is programs that we can potentially utilize to kind of give us that additional cushion, if you will, the credit enhancement to kind of get us over the edge and be able to move forward with a deal. So, the Delaware Capital Access Program is one where by enrolling the loan into that program, there is a match, right? So there's fees to enroll it, and there's a match from this program to kind of further strengthen the deal potentially, right? And it kind of, again, depending on where we are and the lending side, that might get us over the edge to feel more comfortable with said credit. The participation program is one where if it's above our lending limit, or as an example, we might reach out to the SSBCI program and say, hey, look, I have a deal for this amount, but I'm only able to go up to this amount, and we're looking for a participant. We actually have a loan currently right now that we're under review to try and do under this participation program. So, both of them are good programs in the sense of they provide options. And now we'll always look at every deal and see what's the best fit, right? Including these two options as well. But they are indeed options for us lenders to utilize and hopefully provide businesses the best opportunity possible. Again, one of the things I always say when you come to apply for a loan, right, and whether it's here at a bank anywhere, is being prepared, utilizing your resources. Again, having that business plan is crucial. Having those projections is crucial, and being able to provide some narrative and explanation on those are very important. So working with individuals like the SBDC, again, it's immensely helpful, and I would utilize that resource as much as you can, because when you come to apply for the loan, those are the exact things that a lender is going to be looking for, right? They're going to look and try to question you on, well, what's your financials look like? Can you repay the loan? How much are you making per week? What are your hours going to be like? How are you going to market your business? So all of those questions are very important as a business owner for you to know and understand if you are a startup. So coming from the SBDC, again, those are the types of things that they're going to help you with, so that when you do come to apply for the loan, you're prepared to answer those types of questions with a lender. Now, as far as what we are going to require when you do apply, similar to that of Del One and other lenders, if it's a startup, there's a business plan, there's projections, usually it's 3 years of projections, there's a loan application, personal tax returns, balance sheets, profit and loss statements. So it's a lot of the same information that you look at the bank. So I always say, if you've been through that lending process or tried going through a lending process with the bank, it's going to be very similar to that. The biggest difference is just, again, the way that we're regulated. We're allowed to be more flexible and take on additional risk that sometimes they're not able to. And that's really the biggest difference. Our interest rates currently are between 7.5 to 8.5. Right now, based on the current rate market, it's somewhat competitive. Historically, though, pre-COVID, we were or have been higher than that of a bank. But our interest rates haven't really moved. They're not necessarily tied to an index like Wall Street Journal Prime. Rather, it's more about our cost of funds. Again, as a nonprofit, we receive funds from an array of sources. We have a lot of federal funding, USDA, IRP, RMAP, SBA. So we got a lot of different funding sources, and sometimes those come with the cost. So as we're paying for those funds, we create a spread. So by no means is it meant to be predatory lending. We actually do, if anything, refinance predatory loans on a case-by-case basis. And again, I think it's an organization that I've been very proud to serve for now over 7 years and work here and be able to be part of really, I guess, inspiring stories with different businesses, going to the loan closings and really having emotional loan closings with businesses. I just didn't think that this was going to be a dream that they can make come true. So if anyone has any further questions specific to our loan process and our eligibility criteria, please feel free to reach out. Again, Lorenzo Marino, Director of Lending at True Access Capital. You have my contact information there on the screen, as well as the office number that you can follow the prompts there. Depending on where you're located, if it's Pennsylvania or again, Delaware, there is a prompt there to guide you onto the correct loan officer. So thank you again, everyone. And I'll now pass it off to Troy.
Great. Thank you so much, Lorenzo. And thank you, JJ or Jory, for providing us that additional information. I'm going to bring on now Tom Thunstrom, who is the Center Director for the SBDC. Thanks, Tom. Handing it off to you.
Thank you, Troy. Good day to everybody, and thank you for being a part of today's webinar. My name is Tom Thunstrom. I'm the Center Director for the Delaware Small Business Development Center. I cover Kent and Sussex counties. I work with advisors in Newcastle as well and help them on things that they need on a case-by-case basis, and work with businesses throughout the state. So our role in this is as the technical advisors. We're going to work with businesses that come to us or come through the Division of Small Business or come through True Access and Del One and help them develop a business plan, financial projections, and cash flows to help them in the process of securing financing through SSBCI. And also if clients come to us organically, sign up through the Delaware SBDC website, we can help them achieve those metrics as well if the program makes sense for the client. Our biggest role in helping businesses out is to serve as a sounding board. We're here to vet through a business idea if they're pre-start or if they are post-start. So we can work with any business that is up to SBA or SSBCI size eligibility limits and help them around business planning as well as market research, and also help them out with business continuity strategies. If they're thinking about buying or selling, in some instances, down the line, we can help you through those strategies. But as far as SSBCI is concerned, we can help on the technical advising by helping you put together a business plan, help you with the financial projections, and help you with getting a cash flow put together or a monthly projection of how your business is going to perform over the next 2 to 3 years. And in that business plan, help put some assumptions in place that will allow you to explain how your business is going to perform and why Del One or True Access should say yes to you in terms of funding. We also offer training. We also offer support. Troy will touch on those things in a little bit on some of the specifics around training that will be upcoming. Next slide, please. Our role within the SSBCI program is really as a partnership. So we work with the Division of Small Business, and we work with Del One and also with True Access Capital. And we're asking on our end, you can, to speak with the Division of Small Business, regional business managers. You saw their information earlier in the slide presentation. Once you talk to the representative in your county, they'll refer you over to us directly. We generally meet by Zoom. We can do in-person meetings or meet you at your place of business, but typically most of our sessions are held by Zoom. And once you sign up with us online, it's a pretty quick process to get in front of us. It can be within a week or two, sometimes a little longer, depending upon client caseloads, but we usually try to get in front of you within a couple of weeks. What we'll do is we'll work with you to review and improve your business plan. We're not going to write it for you. We're not going to predict your sales or your bottom line, but what we'll do is we'll make sure those numbers make sense for the business case. We'll look at market industry data and trend lines and business performance, both your business and also industry metrics, to make sure that the application is strong, make sure your business plan is stronger, and make sure the financial projections make sense for the loan. Our goal, many of us are ex-bankers, is to think like a banker and to ask the questions that'll be asked before your business plan, before your loan application go off to the bank. So we want to make sure that your application's in the best position, your business plan, your financial projections make the best sense. Next slide, please. You're welcome to sign up through the Delaware SBDC website and follow the prompts to do so. Again, we ask that you go to the Division of Small Business too, and you can talk to them and also speak to the local regional business manager in your particular county to do that process. They'll refer you to us through this portal as well. Please mention who referred you, and please mention that it's an SSBCI referral, so it'll help us keep track of who's coming and what this is for, because it'll help us better serve you on the way in as we work with you through the process. Thank you very much. I'll pass this back over to Troy.
Great. Thanks, Tom. So right now, we are going to run a poll just very quickly before we move on to our Q&A section and also to our upcoming events. Please take the poll in terms of the information that's being provided to you. We are going to be offering more of these information sessions, and we want to make sure that we are hitting the mark by informing you of basically what's coming down the pike for access to capital and funding opportunities as it relates to the state's Small Business Credit Initiative. In addition to that, we also want to prepare you for funding as a small business. So I'm just going to pause here for a quick second and allow you to take the poll and give you about 10 seconds, and then we will move on to the next. And again, if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A section so that all of our participants and attendees here can benefit from you asking the question. There is no question that is too small or insignificant. Thank you so very much. So, following on, I hope you understand that the premise of us being here today is assisting you with priming, preparing, and positioning you for funding opportunities, which includes advising also on how to manage and maintain funds upon approval. So it's not just working you up to the opportunities of acquiring funding, it's also making sure that you are primed, prepared, and positioned upon approval of funding so that you can determine how to maintain and allocate those funds as well. So with that said, we thought it best that as me being the program manager for the SSBCI, to make this all encompassing. And you are going to have the opportunity to participate, whether you are a small business, a partner, or community organization, to partake in some of the opportunities for information and education. We have coming down the pike on May the 23rd, in partnership with the Division of Small Business, the Emerging Enterprise Center, and Wilmington Alliance, the do's and don'ts of creating a small business plan for funding with Audrey Scott Henson. Why is this relevant and important and so timely as well? Because you've heard business plan mentioned several times throughout this information session. And yes, that is going to be a key component if you are looking for funding opportunities, whether it be for SSBCI or additional funding opportunities. And the SBDC is here to support you in that process. Now, I want to be very clear. We do not do the business plan for you, but we will support you and guide you along the way. And one of those ways, again, is for you to partake in the do's and don'ts of creating a small business plan for funding opportunities. Then we will be rolling out on May the 29th, the ins and outs of financial statements for your business with Omar Mitchell. And this is so important and essential because of your back office. We want to ensure that you are astute and that you can comprehend what the specific areas of financial stability are in your business as you go through and prepare for the funding process. And even if you don't, this is a class that you are going to want to partake in, and it is hands-on. Both of them will be at the Emerging Enterprise Center on May 23rd. The time is from 9 to 12 p.m., 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And it is in person, but it also will be provided in a hybrid environment as well. On May 29th, the ins and outs of financial statements will be from 8:30 to 12. We want to give you an opportunity to come in at 8:30. This is going to be a hands-on experiential learning. I would call it a seminar for the morning. So we will be covering all of your financial statements that include your P&L, your income statements, your balance sheets, budgeting. So bring yourself, and I would say even bring your laptop so that you are ready and prepared to sit down and engage in this financial journey. And also, if you are finding yourself that, you know what, numbers are just not my thing, here's an opportunity to partner with the SBDC so that you can become more astute on understanding and comprehending what financial stability is and how to gain that. And if you are there, possibly it's learning those specific areas so that you can scale and grow as well. So we look forward to joining us for those two opportunities. And there will be more coming down the pipe on a monthly basis. And again, this particular information session will be delivered on a quarterly basis as well. To register for upcoming events, please go to the SBDC events calendar, and that will be provided to you. Next slide. So if you want to learn for additional events that you heard me talk about coming down the pike, please also go to the SBDC's website to join our email list and subscribe to our newsletter. Our newsletter has over 17,000 on the list. So that means that there's information that is prime and essential to you becoming sound and successful as a small business owner or a partner or a community organization wanting to be in the know. Additionally, please also make sure that you go to the Division of Small Businesses calendar, and we also have the link presented there as well. Thank you all so very much. Before we go on to the Q&A section with Andrea, I just want to say that the SBDC, the Division of Small Business, community partners throughout Delaware collectively are committed to supporting the goal to access to capital, assisting with providing information and education that supports action toward the pathway of funding opportunities, not just for SSBCI, but all funding opportunities. Today, you've heard about the SSBCI initiative. Please seek to see if this is something that fits into the scope of your growth for success. And that we're all partnering with small businesses, helping them to focus on some of the areas that are most pertinent to the funding process. As you see us roll out this information and education, it's going to be inclusive of accounting, financial literacy, credit, and legal aspects of creating and developing a road to funding. In short, access is being created along with your action and efforts as a small business. Thank you also to our partners, our lenders, and our community organizations who are joining us today. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Andrea for the Q&A section.
Thank you so much, Troy. We do have a couple of questions. As a reminder, this has been a recorded webinar and it will be placed on both of our websites. For the Division of Small Business, it will be on de.gov/SSBCI. I did put that in the chat. And also for the SBDC, it will be www.delawaresbdc.org. All right, so let us get to the questions. Does Del One offer loans for businesses that are new startups and don't have 2 years of business taxes? So I'll give that to Jory.
So Del One does not do startups. So if you don't have 2 years, if you have like 1 year of tax returns, we may be able to consider it. But if you're a brand new starting business, unfortunately, we don't have products for startups at this time. But we are willing to look at businesses that are maybe about a year old, 6 months to a year old, depending on how, the nature of your business and what your need is as far as the lending product.
Great, thank you. Okay, next question. For a services business having a 3-year history of $3 million in revenue, what sort of collateral is required and what's a tentative loan rate for a USD $1 million loan? And again, I think that would go to Jory and Lorenzo both. You can both have the option to answer. Do you want to start again, Jory?
Sure. So for a $1 million loan with cash flow, we're probably looking at business assets as far as collateral. I know a lot of times people, when they say collaterals or you do guarantees, you're looking for some type of physical collateral, whether that be like a home or a car or something like that. But we also use business assets, equipment, things like that. So depending on what you're using the loan for, typically when you're looking at $1 million projects, you're looking at real estate, you're looking at things like that. So we'll be looking at the building itself. But if it's equipment that you're buying or a warehouse or something like that, we may be looking at that and not necessarily your personal home or things like that.
Hey, Lorenzo, do you want to pick up?
Yeah, so I mean, on a loan like that, we would look at it kind of on a case by case here. For $1 million, that is above our lending limit. We currently go up to 800,000. So, this is one of those examples again where our participation loan would work with the SSBCI program. As far as collateral though, for that project, business assets is something that's usually taken. Now here with True Access Capital, then, when we look at assets, and depending on the nature of the project, assets do depreciate, right? So year over year in the liquidation process, it also means that they never fully recover their initial investment, thus not really collateralizing the loan. And therefore, there is other forms of collateral that we look for. Those can be rental properties, commercial properties, for our primary residences. There are credit enhancement programs out there again. There's the Delaware Capital Access Program. There's SBA programs that provide guarantees. So there's programs out there that we can potentially utilize in certain cases, depending on the deal itself. The interest rate here with us, again, it's not really based on any index. As of right now, they're between 7.5 to 8.5 interest rates, and that's based on the type of the deal. It would be one or the other.
Great. And just to make sure, I see there were a couple of follow-ups from him. We're services businesses. We don't have an asset base and we need them for marketing, branding. Mr. Siddiqui, if you could put in the chat whether your questions were answered. Beyond that, I might suggest that you reach out to Lorenzo and Jory individually. Okay, let's move to the next question. Can you please share if the Navigator Business Advisor has a different function than the SSBCI Technical Advisor? I currently have a wonderful MBA and want to clarify if I should be contacting the SBDC to inquire about meeting with the TA identified in the presentation. So that can either be Troy or Tom.
I'll let Tom go.
It's possible you may be staying with the same SSBCI advisor. A couple of our navigator advisors have migrated over into SSBCI programs. You can reach out to us and we'll take a look at it on a case-by-case basis. If we can keep continuity, we absolutely will. Yeah, so feel free to reach out to your advisor, or feel free to reach out to us and we can take a look.
Okay. The next question is, since Del One doesn't give loans for startups, are there any other programs like True Access Capital? And that one, oh, go ahead, Jory.
So because we don't do startups, that's why we rely on SSBCI and things like that. What we do is typically try to refer you to someone that can help you. Like I said at Del One, our first answer is not just we can't help you, but we do try to give you the tools and resources not only to get yourself set up to partner with us, but we will refer you to other programs such as the Small Business Initiative here to kind of get you the funding that you need to get started. We also have personal loans that we could work with as well. So if there's something else that we may not be able to do commercial wise, we may explore that as well.
So may I intervene? So I just want to clarify just really quickly, Jory, that you can consider, or when a client is coming in, you will review, assess, and see if they meet the requirements for SSBCI. And if not, then you would refer them over to if there's not additional products, or like you said, a personal loan. I just wanted to make sure that's clear with all of our listeners.
Yes.
So, all right. So it's not that the Del One does not do startups. It's just that they may not have particular products that are for particular startups. However, they will defer to the SSBCI to see if you meet the expectations of that funding opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you, Troy. Yeah, and just, I mean, I guess I'll go ahead and continue to beat that drum. So for the SSBCI program, you can go to Del One for if you are a startup in this program, and they will determine from there if it's the right fit for you and they're the right fit for you. I will also clarify that currently we have just 2 participating lenders for the program, and that is Del One and True Access Capital. We are actively working on seeing if we can get other lenders to join the program. But right now, these are the only 2 lenders in the state that are offering this program through us. Other banks may be able to serve you in other ways, just not the SSBCI program. All right. Next question. Lorenzo, does TAC have any partners that are willing to help a pre-seed with funding?
Not that come to mind. I mean, we just provide business financing. So if you're looking more for like investors, yeah, that wouldn't be through us.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Climate change is one of the greatest crises we're facing and dealing with today. Are there special funding opportunities to support particularly the climate change oriented small business? And let's start with answering through the lens of the SSBCI program. So Jory or Lorenzo.
So at least at True Access Capital, not at this time. It is something we're keeping an eye on. In the CDFI industry, it is kind of a big area of focus currently. There's been the Greenhouse Reduction Act that's been kind of in our vision, if you will. There's the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund through the OFN, the Opportunity Finance Network. Again, that's the national conference for the CDFIs. in the country. Not anything we have currently at True Access Capital, but again, it is something that we're keeping an eye on and potentially down the road, as additional funding gets released for organizations like ourselves, it might be something we take advantage of.
Yes, and just like Lorenzo at True Access, it's not something that we have at this time, but it is something that we're always looking for ways to help our members and our small business owners. So I never shy away from anybody maybe applying or looking into it or asking more questions based on your business and what you have going on. But at this time, we don't have special funding for that particular product.
Great, thank you both. Mr. Siddiqui says, I need clarity for service businesses. Can I ask in person? My assumption is he means, can I reach out to both of you?
Absolutely. Our contact information is in the slide presentation. And then when you reach out, you can just ask for Jory or JJ. I go by both. And then I'll definitely love to have a conversation with you and get more information about your need.
And let's piggyback off of that. How can a services-based business benefit?
So services-based businesses, that's what we're about. We're in the business of service. That's what we do here. And we're here to serve our members. So services-based businesses, we're just basically looking at your need. Whatever your need is, we'd like to have a conversation with you about the marketing. I know you had mentioned marketing and some other things that you needed to kind of get started and get your business out there. So what we would like to explore is your cash flow, what your need is, and then we can make a definite decision. Like I said, my underwriter and my our chief of lending is not here. He's away, but like I said, we like to look at the application, and you don't have to apply. We don't have to pull credit. We don't have to do anything like that, but we like to just kind of explore your options. So definitely reach out to me directly, and then me and my team can get together and see how we can help you.
Great. Okay, what is the turnaround time for lending with either program? Let's start with Lorenzo.
So it's we quote an average of 90 days from complete application to date of funding. And I kind of stress that specificity because again, sometimes coming from SBDC or coming from the WBC here at True Access Capital, and then going into the loan application, loan underwriting process, it might feel like it's a lot longer than that, but because you've been working your way up to preparing that application. But for us, and the underwriting side and the lending side, that clock doesn't really start ticking until we have a complete packet, which means after we've provided the application and application checklist and those items have been turned in, that's essentially what consists of a complete packet. At that point, we go through the underwriting process, which is about 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the complexity of the deal. And then thereafter that, the remaining 30 to 45 days is for preparing the loan for closing. Again, that's a little bit of a moving target, depending on how quickly we get the information that we need. And again, the complexity of the deal, right? Some larger development projects with construction just simply require a little bit more due diligence, as well as inspections, appraisals, environmental. So, and those take an average of 4 weeks themselves. So it just depends on that as well.
And Jory.
So along the same lines, about 60 to 90 days from a complete application. We do try to get you started with everything that you need and then ask as we go along. Our underwriting process can take up to a week for them to review everything, but I would say about 60 to 90 days from a complete document set. So what's important, I'm sure just like Lorenzo is for him, is getting everything to us that we ask for. The faster you move, the faster we can move. Again, with real estate, things like that, appraisals do take time. There's title work, things like that. Delaware is an attorney state, so we do have to work with them as well. So just about 60 to 90 days, depending on the transaction.
Thank you. I am checking both the chat and the Q&A, but a reminder, please put your questions in the Q&A because questions put in the chat can easily be missed. I did see one that asked if True Access Capital offers funding for startups. And Lorenzo, I believe I remember in your remarks that yes, you do.
That is correct. Yes, we do also serve startup businesses through which, in lieu of historical financials, we're going to be looking at the business plan and projections.
Right. Now, I am going to look in the answered questions. Some of our presenters have been answering questions directly while we've been chatting. So let me see if there are some that other people might like the answers to. So one question was, does True Access Capital report to credit bureaus? And Lorenzo says no. Another question. I know many times with traditional loans, especially for the food service industry, the first requirement is to put your house up as collateral. Does this program help protect against that? And from our business finance director, both of our participating lenders require personal guarantees for their business loans, but I would suggest speaking with one of the lenders about your specific collateral requirements. Question, does True Access Capital make equity capital investments? And Lorenzo replied, we do not. The next question was, is this opportunity open to nonprofits? Yes, this program is available for nonprofits. Thank you for asking. That's very important. Another good question, as we were talking about SETI-owned businesses. So SETI businesses have way less than 500 employees. How will you all ensure that there is equity, since this is open to all small businesses with 500 or fewer employees? And our business finance manager, Andrew, replies, our Delaware Capital Access Program provides additional support for SETI-owned businesses, as well as very small businesses, which are fewer than 10 employees, I believe, to help ensure we meet our goals for supporting SETI-owned businesses. All right. Double checking, just scrolling through. Someone did ask, is the SSBCI Investors Program up and running for startups? The venture programs are currently not active. We keep making progress by inches sometimes.
Thank you. And I'm glad you circled back around to that, Andrea, because someone had asked about seed funding. So just stay tuned.
All righty, that appears to be all of the questions in the chat, Troy, so I will turn it back to you.
Great, thank you. Andrew, do you have anything additional to add?
Yeah, so just real quick on the venture, because we had a couple seed startup questions. So yeah, what Troy said there is right. Stay tuned. We have two. So again, today we were talking about our two lending programs, but we have currently coming down the pipeline an accelerator program to provide seed funding, as well as accelerator services, services with helping startups get off the ground. And we have an additional program, our venture capital program, which would be an equity investment program, also coming down the line. We don't have a firm start date for those yet, but we're hoping to get them launched as soon as we can.
Perfect. Thank you so very much for circling back. So I'm going to ask the rest of the team to highlight themselves and go ahead and come on camera so that you can put a name to the face. Tom Thunstrom from SBDC. I have Regina Mitchell, who is with the Division of Small Business. Andrew Harton, who is also with the Division of Small Business. We have Laura Whistler as well. Hey, Laura, with the Division of Small Business. She is quickly becoming my ride or die in this process. So thank you. And additionally, we have some of the SBDC team members coming on camera as well. And that is Lee or Lizette Galazzo. Did I say that? Galazza? Jake Blackstein, David Root. So we have Steve Johnson of United Way of Delaware. So again, thank you all so very, very much. This is going to be a collective effort, a communal effort, and partnership. We want to strengthen the economic platform here in Delaware. And a way to do that is by funding opportunities. We can't tell you how many times we've heard there is no access to capital. Well, guess what? We are bringing it to you now. So we're asking you to get primed, to get prepped, and to get prepared so that we can support you through this funding journey. And wherever you are, whatever stage that you are in, we are here to support you. We can't solve all your problems. I just want to put that out there, okay? We can't solve all your problems. We are not here to do the work for you. We need you to have some skin in the game. That's why our mantra is not just access, but action to capital. So with that said, I want to thank you so very much for joining in and taking the time to hang out with us in our first SSBCI information session through the Small Business Development Center. Yes, another acronym I'm going to throw at you, the SBDC. So we want to thank you all. We want to thank our participants. And on behalf of our leaders, Mike Bowman, Sarah Mayu, Regina Mitchell, and Laura Whistler, all of everyone else, Del One, True Access Capital, we want to thank all of you so very much. Please join us in the upcoming trainings that I have communicated to you. Make sure that you get registered. Seating, and this is what I will say to you, seating is limited. And I want to also say this to you, don't take someone else's seat. Yes, I'm very transparent. Be there and be ready. As you say, and as we say, we are all a part of the Delaware family. So thank you so very much, and we'll see you on the journey to funding.